Please remember to use citations when referencing information from web search results. Use tags around any claims that come from the search results with the correct document and sentence indices. The cold winds of Glacius 9 howled across the icy plains as the Confederation science vessel hovered in orbit. Inside the ship's main observation deck, aliens of different shapes and sizes gathered around glowing screens. Dr. Taiho stood at the center of the room. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights as he pointed at the ice planet below. "This planet is too harsh for any living thing," he said. "The temperature is 170 degrees. The air pressure would crush most life forms. No one can survive there." The other scientists nodded in agreement. They had spent months studying Glacius 9 and had reached the same conclusion. Admiral Nari stepped forward. Her tall, thin body towered over Dr. Taiho. "But we need the special minerals from this planet. Our ships cannot grow without them." "The robots we sent all broke down," another scientist added. "The cold was too much for even our best machines." Dr. Taiho shook his head. "Then we must accept defeat. No species in our records could handle such extreme conditions." From the back of the room, a small group of humans watched quietly. They were new to the Confederation, having joined only 6 months ago. Most aliens still viewed them as strange and primitive. Captain Jiwoo stood up. She was shorter than most aliens in the room, but her voice was clear and strong. "My people can help," she said. "Humans have worked in very cold places before." The room went silent. Then, one by one, the aliens began to laugh. Their strange sounds filled the room as they looked at the small human with disbelief. Dr. Taiho raised his forearms to quiet the room. "Human, you do not understand. Your kind needs special suits just to handle small temperature changes. On Glacius 9, you would die in minutes." Captain Jiwoo did not back down. "We would like to try." Admiral Nari looked interested. "What makes you think humans could succeed where our best technology has failed?" "We have a long history of surviving in harsh places," Jiwoo explained. "Our planet has frozen areas where we have built research stations. We have climbed mountains where the air is thin and cold." Dr. Taiho's eyes narrowed. "This is nothing like your Earth cold. This is beyond anything your species has faced." "Perhaps," Jiwoo said with a small smile. "But humans are good at solving problems. We adapt." The Admiral looked at Dr. Taiho. "The minerals are too important. If they want to try, let them." Dr. Taiho did not look happy, but he nodded. "Fine, I will record my prediction now. The humans will call for rescue within 12 hours of landing. Their mission will be a complete failure." 3 weeks later, the human ship Frost was ready. Captain Jiwoo had picked the best cold weather experts from Earth. Her team included Minho, a top engineer who had worked in Antarctica for 10 years, and Dr. Do-hyun, who studied extreme environments. The Confederation provided data, but little else. Most aliens believed the mission would fail, so they saw no reason to waste resources. On the day of departure, Dr. Taiho came to see the human ship. He walked around the Frost, studying its design. "Your ship is smaller than I expected," he said. Captain Jiwoo nodded. "We don't need a big ship. We need the right equipment and the right people." Dr. Taiho looked at the humans loading boxes into the ship. They seemed so fragile compared to many alien species he knew. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You must know the dangers." Jiwoo looked at the blue-skinned scientist. "Throughout history, humans have gone to places others said were impossible. We went to our highest mountains, our deepest oceans, even our moon. Each time people said we would fail." "And sometimes you did fail," Dr. Taiho pointed out. "Yes," Jiwoo agreed, "but we learned from those failures. Then we tried again. That's what humans do." As the Frost prepared for launch, many aliens came to watch. Some were curious, others wanted to see the humans admit defeat. Inside the ship, Captain Jiwoo looked at her team. "Everyone ready?" Minho gave a thumbs up from his station. "All systems good to go." Dr. Do-hyun nodded. "Our special suits are ready. The habitat pods are secure." Jiwoo took her seat and strapped in. "The aliens think we will fail. They've studied this planet for years and believe nothing can survive there." "They may know the planet," Minho said with a grin, "but they don't know humans." The ship's engines roared to life. On the observation deck of the Confederation vessel, Dr. Taiho watched as the small human ship headed toward the icy surface of Glacius 9. He was certain he would never see any of those humans alive again. He had no way of knowing that humans had one thing the aliens had forgotten to consider: the human ship. Frost moved closer to the ice planet. Inside, Captain Jiwoo checked all systems one last time. The journey from the Confederation station had taken 3 days. Now Glacius 9 filled their viewports. "It looks like a giant snowball," Minho said, as he looked at the white planet. As the chief engineer, he had spent weeks preparing their equipment for the harsh conditions. "The surface temperature is reading 168 degrees, reported Dr. Do-yun. "Slightly warmer than predicted, but still deadly," Jiwoo nodded. "Everyone final equipment check." The crew of 12 humans put on their special suits. These were not normal spacesuits. The team had created them using new materials and old ideas. Each suit had 5 layers of protection and small heaters near vital organs. "These suits can handle 200 degrees for up to 8 hours, Minho explained to the team. "If your suit warns you about power, return to the ship right away." Dr. Do-yun held up a small device. "Everyone take a body monitor. It will track your core temperature and alert you if it drops too low." On the Confederation observation station, Dr. Taiho watched the humans with growing interest. He had expected them to turn back by now. "They are actually going to land," he said to his assistant Yuna. "Their bravery is admirable, even if it is foolish." Yuna looked at the scans of the human ship. "Their technology seems simple compared to ours." "Yes," agreed Dr. Taiho, "that is why they will fail. Their bodies are fragile and their technology is basic." The aliens watched as the Frost began its descent to the surface. Wind speeds on Glacius 9 were over 100 kilometers per hour. Ice crystals, hairs sharp as knives, filled the air. "Landing zone in sight," Captain Jiwoo announced to her crew. "Brace for rough entry." The ship shook violently as it pushed through the thick atmosphere. Warning lights flashed on several control panels. "External temperature sensors are failing," called out Minho. "Switching to backup systems." The Frost dropped lower, its engines fighting against the powerful winds. The landing site was a flat area between 2 ice ridges. Jiwoo had chosen it. After studying the planet's surface for weeks, 300 meters to surface, she called out. 200 to 100. A sudden gust of wind hit the ship, pushing it sideways. Alarms blared throughout the cabin. "We're off target," shouted Minho. "Compensating." The ship hit the surface hard. The crew was thrown against their restraints. Equipment broke loose and crashed around the cabin. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, Jiwoo's voice came through the internal speakers. "Status. Report. Is everyone okay?" One by one, the crew members reported in. There were minor injuries, but nothing serious. Minho checked the ship's systems. "Main power is stable. Heating systems working, but we have damage to the external sensors and the communication array." "Can we still talk to the observation station?" Jiwoo asked. "Yes, but the signal will be weak." Jiwoo activated the communication system. "Frost to observation station. We have landed on Glacius 9. After a long pause, Dr. Taiho's voice came through. "This is most surprising. Your ship survived the landing. How are your crew members?" "All alive and well," Jiwoo replied with a small smile. "We'll begin setting up our base now." Dr. Taiho's voice carried a note of surprise. "You still plan to exit your ship? The conditions outside are even worse than predicted." "That's why we came," Jiwoo said simply. The humans prepared for their first steps on Glacius 9. Their habitat. Modules needed to be set up quickly. These special pods would connect to form a base where they could live and work. "First team, ready to go," Minho reported. He would lead the first group outside to secure the landing area. Dr. Do-yun ran a final check on their suits. "Remember, you have 8 hours of full protection. Do not take any risks." Jiwoo nodded to the first team. "Be careful out there." The airlock hissed open. Instantly, the brutal cold of Glacius 9 tried to push its way into the ship. The first team stepped out onto the white surface. Minho's voice came through the radio. "We're outside. The wind is stronger than expected. Visibility is poor." On the observation station, the aliens watched with amazement. They had started a betting pool on how quickly the humans would call for rescue. The longest bet was for 10 hours. "They are actually walking on the surface," Una said in disbelief. "In this cold." Dr. Tejo watched the small figures moving around the ship. "Their suits must be better than we thought. Still, they cannot last long." Hour after hour, the humans worked in the deadly cold. They secured the first habitat module and connected it to the ship. By the time the 12-hour mark passed, they had set up 2 modules and a power generator. Dr. Tejo looked at the data coming from the planet's surface. Against all his predictions, the humans were not only surviving, they were building a base. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "I have underestimated these creatures." 3 days had passed since the humans landed on Glacius 9. Dr. Tejo sat in his private lab on the observation station, staring at the screens showing the human base. He could not understand what he was seeing. "They should be dead by now," he muttered, "or at least calling for rescue." Instead, the humans had built a small base with 5 connected habitat pods. They had even begun exploring the area around their landing site. Una entered the lab with fresh data. "You need to see this," she said, handing him a tablet. "The humans have started drilling into the ice." Dr. Tejo's 4 eyes widened. "Drilling? Why would they waste energy on that?" He opened a communication channel to the human base. Captain Jiwoo's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but happy. "Captain, what are you doing?" Dr. Tejo asked. "Our scans show you are drilling holes in the ice." Jiwoo smiled. "We're looking for something." Dr. Do-hyun noticed patterns in the ice that reminded him of something from Earth. Dr. Tejo was confused. "What could you possibly find under the ice except more ice?" "Come and see for yourself," Jiwoo invited. "We have an extra suit that might fit you." Dr. Tejo was surprised by the offer. No alien had planned to visit the surface. It was considered too dangerous. But his scientific curiosity was strong. 2. Days later, a small shuttle landed near the human base. Dr. Tejo stepped out wearing a modified human cold suit. The bitter wind hit him immediately, even through the layers of protection. Captain Jiwoo met him at the airlock. "Welcome to Glacius 9. Base 1, she said as they entered the habitat. Inside it was warm and busy. Humans moved between workstations, checking equipment and analyzing data. The habitat was simple but effective. "How are you keeping it so warm in here?" Dr. Tejo asked, removing his helmet. Minho pointed to a diagram on the wall. "That's what we want to show you. Follow us." They led Dr. Tejo to the newest habitat pod. In the center of the floor was a circular area covered with special insulation. "We call this the hotspot," Dr. Do-hyun explained. He pressed a button, and the covering moved aside. Below was a clear panel. Through it, Dr. Tejo could see a deep hole going down into the ice. At the bottom, something glowed red. "What is that?" he asked in amazement. "Geothermal heat," Jiwoo said proudly. "Glacius 9 has a hot core. The heat comes up through cracks in the ice." Dr. Tejo was stunned. "But our scans never showed this." "Your scans looked for large heat sources," Dr. Do-hyun explained. "These are small but numerous. We suspected they might exist because of certain ice formations we saw from orbit." "How did you know to look for them?" Dr. Tejo asked. Jiwoo smiled. "On Earth we have places called Antarctica and the Arctic, very cold regions. Our ancestors learned to find hot springs under the ice thousands of years ago. The knowledge was passed down through generations." Dr. Tejo touched the clear panel. It was warm. "We've tapped into 5 of these heat sources," Minho added. "They provide extra power and heat for our base. That's how we can stay warm without using too much of our fuel." Dr. Tejo looked around the habitat with new eyes. "This is what you meant by adaptation. You're using old knowledge from your planet to survive here." "Exactly," Jiwoo nodded. "Humans have faced extreme cold many times in our history. Long before we had modern technology, we survived ice ages." The alien scientist walked slowly around the habitat, noticing details he had missed before. The way the pods were positioned to block the wind, how the humans had packed ice around the base for extra insulation. "So you're not just surviving," he said finally. "You're using the planet's conditions to your advantage." "That's the human way," Jiwoo replied. We adapt. We learn from each challenge. Later that day, Dr. Taiho joined a team going out to collect ice samples. Despite his thick suit, the cold bit into him. The humans moved more easily, having adjusted to working in the harsh conditions. "How much longer can you stay here?" he asked Jiwoo as they walked. "We brought supplies for 3 months," she answered, "but with the geothermal energy, we could probably last much longer." They reached the sample site, where Dr. Do-hyun was examining the ice wall. "Look at this," he called to them. "The ice here has traces of the mineral the Confederation needs." Dr. Taiho examined the samples with his portable scanner. "He's right. This ice contains small amounts of meridium." Jiwoo looked pleased. "Then our mission is already a success. We've proven humans can work here, and we've found what you need." As they walked back to the base, Dr. Taiho was quiet. He was thinking about everything he had seen. "I made a mistake," he finally said. "When I studied humans, I looked at your physical limitations, your need for specific temperatures and pressures. What I didn't consider was your history." "What do you mean?" Jiwoo asked. "Your species has survived conditions that should have killed you many times. You've lived through ice ages with nothing but fire and animal skins. You've crossed frozen mountains and seas. That history is part of you." He looked at the human base, small but strong against the white landscape. "That was the factor I forgot," Dr. Taiho said. "Not your technology, but your evolutionary and cultural memory of survival." 2 weeks after the humans landed on Glacius 9, the planet's weather began to change. Dr. Do-hyun noticed it first while checking the atmospheric sensors. "Captain, you need to see this," he called to Jiwoo. He pointed to the readings on his screen. "The temperature is dropping fast. Wind speeds are increasing." Jiwoo frowned at the data. "How bad will it get?" "If these trends continue, we're looking at temperatures below 200 degrees and winds over 250 kilometers per hour. Minho joined them, his face serious. "Our habitat is rated for 190 degrees and winds up to 200. Beyond that, I can't guarantee it will hold." Jiwoo called an emergency meeting with all 12 crew members. "We have a storm coming," she told them. "A big one, worse than anything we prepared for." "How long until it hits?" asked one of the scientists. "About 36 hours, Dr. Do-hyun replied. "And it could last for 3 to 5 days. Jiwoo looked at each member of her team. "I need options. How do we survive this?" On the observation station, Dr. Taiho was also tracking the approaching storm. He had grown to respect the humans over the past 2 weeks, especially after his visit to their base. But this storm was beyond anything they had discussed. "We need to warn them," he told Yuna. "This storm could destroy their base and kill them all." He opened a communication channel to the human base. "Captain Jiwoo, are you tracking the weather system moving toward your position?" "We are," Jiwoo's voice came back. "We're preparing for it now." "You don't understand," Dr. Taiho said urgently. "This is not a normal storm. It's a polar vortex. One of the most powerful ever recorded on Glacius 9. You must evacuate immediately." There was a pause before Jiwoo responded. "Thank you for your concern, Dr. Taiho, but we're staying." "That's madness," the alien scientist exclaimed. "Your habitats cannot withstand these conditions." "We're making some changes to our setup," Jiwoo explained. "Minho has a plan." Dr. Taiho couldn't believe what he was hearing. "No plan will save you from this storm. The Confederation can send an emergency ship to evacuate your team." "We didn't come all this way to run at the first sign of trouble," Jiwoo said firmly. "We'll update you when the storm passes." The communication ended. Dr. Taiho stared at the blank screen in disbelief. "They're going to die," Yuna said softly. Back on Glacius 9, the humans worked frantically to prepare for the storm. Minho led teams to reinforce the habitat connections. Others moved essential equipment to the central pod. "We need to lower our profile," Minho explained as they worked. "The wind will hit us like a wall. We need to be as small a target as possible." They disconnected 2 of the outer pods and buried them in the snow for retrieval later. The remaining pods were partially buried and reinforced with ice blocks. Dr. Do-hyun had another idea. "The geothermal vents. We need to tap into more of them." Teams went out to drill additional heat taps. The extra power would be crucial during the storm. As the hours passed, the sky turned dark. The wind began to howl, growing louder with each passing minute. Ice crystals flew through the air like tiny knives. "Everyone inside," Jiwoo ordered, as the last preparations were completed. "Seal all airlocks." The storm hit with incredible force. The habitat shook and creaked under the pressure. The temperature outside plummeted to 210 degrees. "Main communication array is down," reported one of the technicians. "We've lost contact with the observation station." Jiwoo nodded. She had expected this. "Switch to backup power. Minimize all non-essential systems." Despite their preparations, problems quickly developed. One of the habitat seals began to leak, letting in the deadly cold air. Minho and 2 engineers rushed to fix it, working in the freezing conditions with numb fingers. "The main heating system is failing," Dr. Doyon reported on the second day. "We're losing too much heat to the storm." Minho looked exhausted. He hadn't slept in over 30 hours. "We still have the geothermal taps. If we can redirect more heat from them." "That would mean going outside again," Jiwoo said, looking concerned. "I'll go," Minho volunteered. "I know the system best." Outside, the storm was at its peak. Minho could barely see through his helmet. The wind pushed against him with such force that he had to crawl part of the way to the control panel for the geothermal system. His suit warned him that the external temperature was beyond its safety limits. He ignored the warning and kept working. On the observation station, Dr. Taeho paced anxiously. They had lost all contact with the human base 27 hours ago. "The storm is directly over their position now," Yuna reported. "Our sensors can't penetrate. Can't prepare a rescue shuttle," Dr. Taeho decided. "As soon as the storm allows flight, we're going down there." "That could be days," Yuna pointed out. "No one could survive that long in those conditions." Dr. Taeho looked at the swirling storm. On the screen, "If any species could find a way, it's the humans." After 3 days, the storm began to weaken. As soon as it was safe to fly, Dr. Taeho boarded a rescue shuttle with a medical team. They prepared themselves to find a destroyed base and frozen bodies. What they found instead would change the Confederation's understanding of humans forever. Dr. Taeho's shuttle landed near the human base, or what he expected would be left of it. The storm had finally passed, leaving behind a transformed landscape. Huge drifts of snow and ice covered the area. At first, he couldn't even see where the base had been. "Life signs detected," reported the medical officer scanning the area. "Multiple human readings." Dr. Taeho couldn't believe it. "That's impossible." The temperature dropped to 215 degrees. Their habitats couldn't withstand that. They made their way through the deep snow. Where the human base had stood, they now saw only a small dome of ice rising from the ground. A narrow tunnel led inside. Dr. Taeho entered cautiously. The tunnel opened into a larger space that was warm and humid. He was shocked to see humans moving around, working at various stations. They looked tired but very much alive. Captain Jiwoo approached with a smile. "Welcome back to Glacius 9, Dr. Taeho." "How?" was all the alien scientist could ask. "How did you survive?" "Come see," she said, leading him deeper into the base. The habitat modules were now almost completely buried under ice and snow, but inside they were warm and functional. Minho joined them, his arm in a makeshift sling. "The storm actually helped us," he explained. "We used its power." He showed Dr. Taeho a diagram. During the storm, they had deployed special turbines that used the powerful winds to generate electricity. The extreme cold had created superconducting conditions that made their power systems more efficient. "But the cold," Dr. Taeho said. "Your equipment was not rated for such low temperatures." Dr. Dohyun stepped forward. "We created a new insulation system using the ice itself, multiple layers with air pockets between them. It's an old principle from Earth used by our ancestors who lived in Arctic regions." Jiwoo led Dr. Taeho to a table where several rock samples were laid out. "We also found something during the storm. The winds exposed a deposit of pure meridium just 2 kilometers from our base." Dr. Taeho examined the samples with amazement. "This is the highest quality I've ever seen. The Confederation has been searching for meridium of this purity for years, so we can show you where to find more," Jiwoo offered. 3 months later, in the Grand Hall of the Confederation's central planet, hundreds of aliens gathered for a special announcement. Dr. Taeho stood at the podium, facing the assembled scientists and leaders. "Today I formally retract my previous statements regarding human adaptability," he began. "My assessment was based on incomplete data and flawed assumptions." He activated a large display showing images from Glacius 9. The human base had grown. More modules had been added, and a small mining operation was now visible. Humans have not only survived on Glacius 9, they have established a permanent presence there. They have successfully extracted high-quality meridium and developed new technologies that function in extreme cold. Admiral Nari stood up. Based on Dr. Taiho's recommendation and the humans' proven capabilities, the Confederation Council has voted to grant Earth exclusive mining rights to Glacius 9 and 16 similar planets previously classified as uninhabitable. Applause filled the hall. Captain Jiwoo, now promoted to Director of Special Operations, joined Dr. Taiho at the podium. "This is just the beginning of what humans and the Confederation can achieve together," she said. "Each species has unique strengths. By combining them, we can reach places and solve problems that neither could alone." After the ceremony, Dr. Taiho and Jiwoo walked through the Confederation's botanical garden. The alien scientist had been studying human history intensively. "Since the Glacius 9 mission, your species has survived so many challenges," he said. "Ice ages, massive climate shifts, natural disasters. Each time you not only survived but emerged stronger." Jiwoo nodded. "That's the story of humanity. We face problems, we adapt, we overcome." "The thing I find most remarkable," Dr. Taiho continued, "is how you pass knowledge down through generations. The techniques you used on Glacius 9 came from ancestors who lived thousands of years ago. We call it cultural memory," Jiwoo explained. "Even as our technology advances, we keep the wisdom of the past." Dr. Taiho stopped beside a small pool. "Do you know why I was so certain you would fail on Glacius 9? Because you looked only at our physical limitations?" "Partly," he admitted, "but also because in the Confederation, we have become too dependent on advanced technology. When our machines fail, we assume nothing can be done." He looked at the human with his 4 eyes. "You showed us that adaptation is not just about having the right tools, it's about mindset, the belief that there is always a solution waiting to be found." Jiwoo smiled. "On Earth we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When survival is at stake, humans become very creative." 6 months later, the first official Human Confederation joint mission departed for a planet even more extreme than Glacius 9. Among the crew were Dr. Taiho and a team of scientists who had studied human survival techniques. As they prepared to land, Dr. Taiho thought about how much had changed. The Confederation had seen humans as weak newcomers to the galactic community. Now they were valued partners, teaching other species how to adapt and survive. All because they had forgotten one important factor about humans. No challenge was too great for a species that had spent its entire history overcoming the impossible.